were your observations other than that from Haugh?
I'll preface this by saying it was a very detailed, fundamentally sound workout where you're really going through technique, a lot of individual drills, barely if any team drill out there. But it was the first impression we got to have watching this new Bears coaching staff lead a practice. And I was fascinated trying to follow my eyes with Ben Johnson. Where's he going as a first-time head coach? Who's he looking at? And the answer was he's kind of everywhere. And I asked him about his style, what he wants of these practices, especially at rookie minicamp, where you being realistic, probably about 10 or so of these guys will be on the team and the practice squad, probably 15 when you add the practice squad come September. But I think for him, it's just getting on the grass and understanding what you need to do to lead a team. And he said his style is going to vary based on what players need and understanding his personnel that way. I talked to somebody here who said, like, this guy is the nicest guy in the world when you talk to him in the building, and the second he steps between those lines, he's a totally different person. And that matches everything I'd heard from Detroit. He's going to be very demanding. He's got a style that's going to really get the best out of people during these practices. And it's going to be really fun to see when you get into OTAs here in a couple of weeks, and certainly come July and August for training camp, when you really get a sense of how Ben Johnson is going to work and lead this team forward. Obviously, a lot of understanding and leaning on his assistants too. Eric Bieniemy, like, we heard all about his reputation. You could hear him today. He's getting on, guys. Dan Rauscher is getting on his offensive lineman.
Okay.
You get a sense of why Ben Johnson is drawn to these coaches and what they can get out of these players. And it's going to be fun, especially when the pads come on those hot summer days in training camp. Like, you're really going to get a sense of what these guys are doing to get to their players.
Yeah, it sounds like we're going to have a very yelly coaching staff. Lots of yelling going on. Okay, that's all right. I mean, that sounds like, I mean, it's always like in any sport, it's usually the opposite of what the previous regime was. Maybe there wasn't enough yelling under Flus, and now we've got a whole bunch of yelling going on out at Haugh. We also saw a video of the great Kyle Monangai running through the cones and doing running drills out there. Are you believing in the 7th round draft pick, and will he be part of a running back rotation for the Bears this year?
I think he will in some form. I'm not buying. There's been so much talk and a lot of nonsense out there about the idea the Bears were looking at Nick Chubb or looking at Dobbins or whoever it might be, a trade for Kenneth Walker. They're happy with this group right now. Like, they were seeking running back upgrades, and it didn't fall their way. Ashton Genty, the price is too much. Judkins and Henderson in the 2nd round, both snatched before pick 39. Scadaboo and Tootin in round 4, both snatched before pick 109. Like, they didn't have their chance to get their running back that they wanted until Monangai. And look, they believe in this kid. I think they feel really good about getting him in the 7th round, but let's temper expectations too. Like, he had a great college career, but he fell to the 7th round for a reason. There's some things that scouts see it. Like, let's calm it down a couple notches here. I'm going to take it back to DeAndre Swift, who obviously was not here today for rookie minicamp. They still believe in this guy. They gave him a big, hefty contract. Last year did not go well for him at all. He struggled 3.7 yards per carry, but he did not have the protection in front. He did not have an offensive line that was able to open up those holes, and he was sitting back there dancing way too darn much. Eric Bieniemy is going to take care of the dancing. Like, there's going to be no more dancing for DeAndre Swift this year. And if not, they're going to get some competition to really press him even harder. Maybe that's where, if DeAndre Swift does not look like the guy they hope he's going to become in year 2 of the Bears, you might see a running back come in July or August. But they're excited to see how he responds to this coaching staff, to upgrades on the offensive line, a new interior there, and a head coach in Ben Johnson who seems to genuinely believe in his future.
What if I told you, Chris Emma, this tweet from Adam Schefter? What if I told you that free agent running back Nick Chubb is not expected to return to the Browns, according to GM Andrew Berry? He said that today.
Why?
Do you now, because it's Friday and we're ridiculous, do you still think it is nonsense that he could end up with the Chicago Bears?
I wouldn't rule out anything, but I don't see it imminently. Certainly, I just don't see that happening. He's 29. He's coming off a devastating knee injury a couple years ago. He had a foot injury last year. I don't see this guy being the Nick Chubb of old. Like, he's not going to be the guy you saw a couple of years goes just lighting up the world, one of the best backs in the league. He's going to be a limited rusher, if that. And there's a lot of medical concerns that I have about him. And even if he's completely healthy, I just don't see him being the guy that we've seen of years past. So I'm passing on it. I'd much rather rely on the guys that are there in that room than anybody else.
I already feel like we're seeing some fired up quotes too. So I think guys are motivated. Like, obviously, Luther Burden is already talking about his draft positioning. You're hearing other players just talk about where they want to be. We did hear Colston Loveland with an eager attitude. What were some of your takeaways of just what they said when it came to that point? Like, just the overall tone of each individual who you may have heard.
Yeah, I was the one who asked that question to Luther Burden, because we heard him in that Zoom after he got drafted, and there was just no emotion, no excitement whatsoever. He was ticked off. And you recognize that when he was on that practice field at Missouri Thursday night into Friday morning, working on the jugs machine and catching balls. And this is a guy who's highly motivated. And so I asked him today, is that something you leave behind on draft weekend? You're happy to be here, or is he carrying that? He said, I'm going to make everybody pay who didn't draft me. And he means it. This is a guy who wears that chip on his shoulder. He's a super talented player. We know that. He was super talented coming out of high school, biggest recruit ever to land in Missouri, and he's super talented. He proved it in the SEC. This is a guy the Bears were thrilled to have fallen to them at pick number 39. And they didn't need a wide receiver. They weren't necessarily looking at that, but he was so high above everybody else on the draft board. They had no choice, and they're really thrilled to see how he fits within this offense. Ben Johnson's got to be just so excited. I mean, you got 3 dynamic wide receivers. You got 2 really talented playmaking tight ends who can do different things within your offense. You got a running back room that has a little bit of depth and some intrigue. The world's your oyster, Ben Johnson. Go get it. I'm excited to see how this scheme comes to fruition.
Emma, well, I'm going to ask you a question that we had on the 5 on it today, and that is, which second-round pick of the Bears, because these are really important picks, which second-round pick on the Bears will have the biggest impact? Luther Burden, Ozzie Trapillo, or Shamar Turner will have the biggest impact on the upcoming season?
After that endorsement of Luther Burden, I'd love to see him, but I'm going to go Ozzie Trapillo. I really believe that he is going to be a starter on this offensive line. And he worked primarily at left tackle today. Like I said, there wasn't much team drill. There wasn't much of an opportunity to line up like that. We understand, like, they're open-minded to the idea of moving Darnell Wright from right tackle to left tackle. This is not going to be something they experiment with and go back and forth and see where it fits. This is something where they're going to make the decision, and that's set, and he's your left tackle. And it's not going to happen during OTAs. I don't think it's going to happen until they get the pads on in training camp, but I see Darnell Wright as the Bears' left tackle going into this season. That turns it to the right side now. Ozzie Trapillo is a guy who's played both sides, moved around to Boston College. I think he's your starting right tackle this year. And they believe in him, certainly. They have high regards for him. It's why you take him in the second round. They were thrilled to get him in that spot. I think it's his job to lose ultimately at right tackle. And he's got a lot to prove. Even he talked about today, I'm a rookie. I'm eager to learn. There's so much I want to do and get better at. But I think you're going to see his physicality combined with his technique really shine during training camp. And I think he's somebody who they see as their starting tackle.
Rahimi Harris Show, Mark Grody in for Marshall Harris. We're on with Chris Emma, our Score Bears reporter. And Chris, we have the audio. Do you want to listen to the similarities between Colston Loveland and Ryan Poles?
Oh, absolutely.
Let's go.
We've talked about it. It's like whatever I can do, we'll do. Whatever, you know what I mean? We'll play it by ear. So for sure, whatever I'm going to be able to do, we're going to make sure we get that done.
Who do you think that was?
I thought that was Ryan Poles.
That's amazing.
That's Colston Loveland.
Ozzie Trapillo I just heard an hour ago.
All right, let's hear Ryan Poles now. Listen in.
Both really good players.
That's amazing.
There's a lot of conversations there back and forth. Tyler's going to be a great football player as well. Just in terms of what fits what we want to do a little bit better with the personnel group that we have here on our roster, we thought that the combination of what we have was the better fit.
Why is Colston Loveland talking about the combination of players they have?
That's a heck of a call, Layla. I'm absolutely with you. That's Colston Loveland, Ryan Poles, the voice makeover. Yeah, it really clashes. I'm with you. They sound exactly alike.
It's amazing. By the way, you told us about Ozzie Trapillo. Do you have any idea what they're going to do with Ozzie Zapillo? Is he a swing tackle or
He's the Cubs' third baseman. No, he's
there you go.
He's the next guy to play third base for the Cubs.
No, wait, hold on. I'm being told Ozzie Zapillo has been picked up by Bears 2. Bears 2 have added Ozzie Zapillo.
Him and Max Rusterfer on the line are going to create a hell of a combo. The cheerleaders for Bears 2 are going to love that combo.
Oh, my God. The Honey Bears. The Honey Bears are back on Bears 2. We'll tell you all about Bears 2 another time, Chris. It's
they
our little
just care
game.
about numbers.
Please do.
Yeah,
the
sorry.
Bears 2 cares about the spreadsheet.
Yeah, we talked about the Bears, the Chicago getting a second team in the NFL, and we named it Bears 2 because we didn't have anything better to name it. So
I mean, gosh, you got the Pope one day. You're trying to get a second football team in the city next. You're getting greedy here.
Hey, Mike Florio is the one who threw it out there, combining the Bears and Bengals stadium requests into one.
The Pope could get 2 teams in Chicago, Chris. Why are you lessening the power of the Pope?
Have we found out if the Pope was a score caller yet? I want to get to the bottom of that. I'd like to think there are some thoughts.
No, but I got
a lot of thoughts about Bernard Berrien being like the best receiver in Bears history in the making. Or
what if one of the Bob from the Southside callers was indeed him?
We need to look into this. I
what
want
if
a full
we were
investigation.
meeting him?
No, never.
We hung up on the Pope. We interrupted. Bernstein hung up on the Pope.
No, don't get this rumor started. Don't do it.